Let us start our class today. We have already started the discussion of stress concentration. We know that the analysis of the stresses induces the members subjected to some tension, some compression, torsion, and bending, etc. These are the different type of load generally we encountered in our prismatic bar, which we take into consideration during our analysis of solid mechanics. But this type of prismatic bar may be uniform throughout its length, and at this cross-section area is uniform throughout its length, or cross-section can vary from minimum to maximum uniformly, or maximum to minimum uniformly, or cross-section can vary abruptly on certain section. It can reduce or it can increase, or it can sometimes it can reduce further. So here there is an abrupt rise in the induced stress, because if we are applying the same stress throughout the length of the bar, same load, then the stress in the portion of the lower cross section will be more than the stress in the portion in the higher cross section. But there are that is the general type of general stress concentration effect, stress condition effect, which we have discussed in our strength of material subject. But now there is another problem associated with this type of abrupt change in cross section. That problem is defined as the stress concentration. Say if P is the axial tensile force, then the parts shown here will be subjected to stresses P divided by A1, P by A1, P by A2, and P by A3, provided A1 is the cross-section area of A portion, A2 is the cross-section of B portion, and A2 is the cross-section area of C portion itself. Now, if it is subjected to some torsion, then the shear stress analysis will be like this: TR by IA and TR by IB, where I0 and IA or IG are the polar momentum ratio of the parts A and B, because this polar momentum, depends on the diameter of the concerned portion of the bar itself, which is equal to pi by 32 into 10 to the power 4. So it is different from here to here, and thus the stress induced will be different from here to here. Higher the polar modulus, lower will be the stress induced. So stress induced in this portion where the polar modulus is less will be much more than the stress induced in this portion where polar modulus is high. Now, there is another problem here. We always assume the average stresses, that is values in the region far removed from the geometrical discontinuity except in the discontinuities. But at the point of discontinuities and near about, the stress values are comparatively high. So here the stresses from at the middle of this portion here will be comparatively high than the stresses at this point of junction here, just like this here. Here at the middle is comparatively less than the stresses induced at the point of discontinuity here and here itself. And we have discussed that the nominal stress or average stress across the section Mn is defined as sigma B into T divided by B minus 2R into T, where sigma stands for the stress induced, B into T is the width of the particular member, and T is the thickness of the member. So sigma B into T is the total load induced throughout the length of the member, and it is supposed to be divided by the cross-section area at the where it is reduced, which is given as B width minus 2 into R, where R is the radius of one of each of this discontinuity. So we have to consider the discontinuity of both the sides. So it is equal to B minus 2R multiplied by T itself, which is sigma B divided by B minus 2R. But at the point M and at the point N, the stresses are maximum. Here is, we always, in earlier cases, we consider stresses are average, and they are same everywhere throughout the cross section. But now in solid mechanics, we are trying to find out what is the maximum or nominal stress, or what is the maximum stress, or what is the minimum stress, and we have to find out the value of sigma max, the maximum stress induced anywhere throughout the length of the cross section, which may not be equal to the average stress induced in the cross section itself. Now, if we take a ratio of sigma max to the nominal or average stress sigma 0, this ratio is defined as stress concentration factor KT. That is, KT is defined as sigma max divided by sigma 0. If we put the respective value of sigma max and sigma 0 itself, it will take the form sigma min maximum multiplied b minus 2r divided by sigma b, and t multiplied by t in both top and bottom, which is cancelling each other itself. The subscription T, which is given to K, represents that this stress is concentration factor is theoretical. It's obtained theoretically, experimentally. It does not depend on the mechanical properties within the elastic limits. This is an important thing. This stress concentration factor is not defined on the elastic limit mechanical properties. That is, it is may not be within this stress induced in the stress induced in the corner may not be within elastic limit itself, which means may not follow the Hooke's law. But instead of using the area across Mn, some area away from this country is asked to calculate the nominal stress. Here it is, we know sigma 0 dash is some stress somewhere here, which is away from M and N, is given by sigma 0 dash is equal to sigma. And KT, if we put that value of sigma dash here, sigma here in case of sigma into B, it will become KT dash sigma max divided by sigma B, where we are considering the full length of the beam itself for sigma max itself. So while referring to sigma table, we should have careful about the meaning of the stress concentration factor, which is important in order to tell you that what can be the maximum stress in where a particular type of discontinuity induced in the section itself. Here we have discussed that the stresses, although the cross-sectional is changed here and here, it is not changes abruptly. There is a fillet induced here and here, which will take a certain amount of load from the stress itself. Present, it will bear certain amount of load. It will bear the stress at the point of intersection will reduce to a certain extent. This is defined as fillets and other things. Okay. Now, figure below is representing the qualitatively how the stress concentration factor in plates varies with the stress R and D. You guys. Now, the determination of stress concentration factor is totally purely from theoretical analysis. For several sectional discontinuities of several steps is difficult and complicated. So what we do, the majority of data are produced experimentally. If we want to follow exactly what is the stress in everywhere of the fillet or everywhere of the reduction in the reduced area, it is extremely difficult. So we are just using our experimental factors to make a chart like this. It is the stress concentration factor for the group of the fillets. It is the stress concentration factor of the group of the fillets. And for the groups and fillets, what we give here is R and T along the abscissa, and KT, the stress concentration factor along the ordinate itself, where R is the radius of the fillet itself, either here or here, and D is the diameter of the rod after that cross-section area is reduced. Here, this is the diameter of the rod here, and this is the diameter of here after the reduction from this portion to this portion and this portion, and from this portion to this portion itself. So R divided by D, if we plot along the abscissa, and we will plot the experimental for stress concentration factor, it will look like this. For the groove, the curve is like here, and for the fillet, the curve is here, which means for grooves, stress concentration factors are high, and for the same radius divided by diameter, and for the fillet stress concentration factor is comparatively less, and they are more or less when this factor ratio is more or less tending to 1, or when R is nearly equal to the D, means the stress, this radius is equal to this radius R is becomes more or less equal to D. Though this is much here, and stress concentration factor is the lowest here, but it is higher when the difference is comparatively high. Now, actually, it is not necessary that every part of this type of Semser groups or fillets should be round in nature or circular in nature. It can be hyperbolically of hyperbolic nature, because it is comparatively easier to make this type of groove on during the machining itself. Here we have the formula is different from the formula already I've discussed, where stress concentration factor is given as 0.8 multiplied by D by 2R plus 1.2 whole over the square root minus 0.1, where D is then again the width of the plate and R is the radius of curvature at the bottom of the groove. So R is the radius of curvature here at the bottom of the groove itself. The Poisson's ratio is equal to 0.3. And in case of a circular member of, this is the case of a plate of very wide plate. But in the case of a circular member of large diameter with hyperbolic grooves, the stress concentration factor is given by this equation here, where D and R have the same meaning, where D is the diameter of the original diameter of the rod, and R is the diameter of the groove itself. And you see, it is the stress concentration factor in the case of a cylinder under tension is smaller than the stress concentration factor for a plate under tension itself here, because here this value is comparatively higher than this value from the same value of D by R, because D by R is equal to 10 in both cases, KT to 2.93 in case of plate and 2.5 in case of cylinder. Thus, for the cylinder, it is comparatively, KT is comparatively more, and so that the maximum load is comparatively closer to the average or nominal load of the plate itself. Now, let us go through more difficult portion of these problems. The plate with a circular hole. We have so far discussed the plate. It will have a groove somewhere here or somewhere here. But now we are thinking it is a plate of width W as given here, and thickness is given as T with a small circular hole of radius R itself, radius C itself. There is a small circular hole. It's much smaller than the width itself. But place is subjected to, say, tensile stress sigma at a distance far removed from the hole. So hole is at the center, hole is much smaller in the side. So stress is always reduced here and induced here, which is much away, further away from the point of application of the load itself. The plate now is the width of the plate is assumed to be extremely large, much larger than the diameter of the hole C itself, the radius or diameter of the hole itself. This problem has an exact solution given by the theory of elasticity. What is the desired solution? It is fairly simple. An approximate solution can also be obtained using energy method and curved beam method. Curved beam theory discussed in earlier lecture. We have not discussed this thing, but we'll. Okay, we have a stoppage due to the connection failure. Now what we are seeing, a large circular, what we are assuming, a large circle drawn, it is concentric with the hole and having a radius B itself. This is the circle itself. Well, now an approximate solution can be obtained using, okay, this is a large circle is drawn concentric with the hole and having a radius b. So this is the circle which is given in the sectional line is shown here. This is of width of diameter b, which is given here. And for this line, this circle itself is concentric, means they have the same center. So concentric with this particular existing. Now, this is again I'm telling you, it's just that there is so many disturbance. Let us consider a large circle, which is drawn concentric here, concentric with the hole and having a radius b itself. Now, since the circle is far removed from the hole, this circle has much higher radius than the b, means b is much higher than c itself. It can be assumed that stress concentration along the circumference of the circle is not affected by the presence of the hole. So you are thinking the stress concentration along the surfaces here, it's not along the surface of the circle itself is not affected by the presence of the hole itself. Now what we are getting to know the stress concentration around the circumference of this particular circle, say consider a tangent So what is going on here? The phase at the section 5 is 1 by E M0 pi by 4, etc. Now normal stress at the portion end. Just one thing. Stop share. This yes, from the equation 6.35, and since M0 is opposite to 1 in 6.20, then sigma 1 is equal to M0 by AE is equal to Y by sigma R minus Y. In this equation, making the difference to sigma 20, M0 is equal to sigma BT divided by 2, C by 2 plus C. Now, if we simplify it further, A cross-sectional given as B minus C into T, or Y is also given as B minus C into T divided by E itself. So R is equal to rho 0 minus E is equal to B minus C by 2 plus C minus C. So this is become to B plus C by 2 into C E itself. Those substituting this and simplifying and expressing in the form of radius, one can get sigma 1, sigma is equal to B by 4C, C by 2E plus 1, and 1 minus 2E by C itself. B minus C is equal to minus 1 itself. Or sigma 2, B by C, sigma 2 is equal to B by C divided by B by C minus 1, or E is equal to rho 0 minus B minus C log B minus C itself, or B minus C by 2 is equal to minus B minus C sigma log 0 B minus C itself. So from E, if we put the value of C under the E, then this equation will take this particular shape B plus C minus 1 by 2 minus B minus C minus 1 by log B by C itself. If, as an example, put a value equal to 5 equal to B by C, and we put this here and simplify it, the value of sigma 1 will be 1.83 sigma, and sigma 2 will be 1.25 sigma, and sigma max will be 3.08 sigma itself. Now, this gives the value of sigma 1, sigma 2, and sigma max for several values of B by C. If we put these values here and calculate, we'll get this type of chart for sigma 1, sigma 2, and sigma 3. And if you compare the value of the table with the exact solution, sigma max is equal to 3 sigma for a very small hole, it can be seen that for B by C will become 5 and 8. The results of the approximate calculation have more or less agreed with the exact solution itself. Okay. Let us stop here. This time is already over. 10 minutes.